And just next to me, we have Diperal Kanana. I hope I got it right. Kathmandu.
Dipendre Candle, Nepal.
Dipendre
Candle, Nepal.
Candle, Nepal. So I want to thank you so much for coming to KBC and, for agreeing to come and just give us an overview of what you have seen. You're, of course, an international election observer, and I believe you have observed many, many elections, so your insights will be helpful. So before I throw it to my colleague Doreen Arangi, who is there. Doreen, you wanna just tell us what you'll be doing tonight? Because tonight we are going to focus a lot on how those numbers are streaming in. So what do you have for us?
Yeah, actually, that is our business tonight. I mean, just after the polling stations were closed at 5 p.m., as it was mentioned by IEBC, except for those areas whereby they have extended, the time simply because of those issues that were in there, that particular, polling stations, either the fact that the ballot papers didn't arrive quite on time, or the different underlying issues, so to speak. So clearly that will be a business tonight, Tom, just trying to track the results as they come in, the data, and we're looking at all the various places, that elections have been conducted, ideally just across the country tonight. But again, remember, much as you're tracking the results for you, this is not the final result. Just remember, IEBC said that indeed the media can also, tally those particular results, but they are the ones to make the final announcement. So much as you're doing this just to give you an overview of what to expect, so to speak, or what we have so far. But key in point and to mention is that this is not the final result. This is actually just the provincial result. So this is what we shall be exploring tonight. Tom, just looking at how, also the votes have been cast. That oftentimes we keep talking about the number of registered voters oftentimes does not tally with the number of valid voters. For instance, we had a total of 22.1 million voters in this particular election, but a good number of times you really don't see that tally with the overall.
at me, but they won't see me cry. This fight wasn't made for everybody. We're different, you and I. Don't you cry.
At the time we were coming here, I believe they are about to finish or just about to close. And this is because voting started late, and as a result, the time that was lost was compensated. The results transmission has started, as you can see on the screen. What you see is the result forms coming in, and already there's a percentage you can see there. And these transmitted forms are also available on our public portal on the website. And I believe the media, the presidential candidates, and other stakeholders and Kenyans at large can log on to the public portal and have access to the presidential result form 34As. And when the form 34Bs will be collected, they'll also be posted on the public portal. And just to remind Kenyans that the Commission has 3 tallying centers at the constituency, county, and national tallying center, which is right here at Bomas. Now, what happens at constituency tallying center? We shall have tallying of results from polling stations and declaration of results or winners of the member of National Assembly and the member of County Assembly. That's at the constituency. And there will also be collation of presidential, gubernatorial, senatorial, and countwoman member of National Parliament results. Then we have the county tallying center, where there will be final tallying and declaration of results for gubernatorial candidates, senatorial candidates, and countwoman member of Parliament. Here at the National Tallying Center, we shall be doing verification of transmitted image of the result from 34As against original from 34As. So the images are coming in, but our returning officers will bring the original forms, then we shall do verification once we receive them. And you can see the desks will be here in the open, 5 desks, and each desk will have the IBC officials and agents of presidential candidates. All the 4 agents will be accommodated here. Then we shall also have verification of constituency form 34Bs against the respective form 34As, followed by collation of form 34C, which is the form that has a collation of all the polling station results. Then we shall also have confirmation of constitutional threshold of 50% plus 1, and also confirmation of 25% of majority of counties of the votes garnered. We shall then follow with the declaration of presidential results and issuance of certificate to the president-elect. So those are activities that will be in this phase of results at the National Tallying Center. So here we shall have 3 screens running. The first screen is the one you see on the right, which is projecting the number of Form 34As received from polling stations. The second screen will project collected results. Include the media, observers, and polling station agents who are allowed to take an image of the Form 34A. And we all must remember that results announced at the polling station are final and cannot be changed by anyone. So that is the exercise we are undertaking. And once the verification is complete, The constituency returning officers will come present the results for announcement. In conclusion, I must mention that the law requires the Commission to undertake verification of presidential election results and declare President-elect within 7 days on conclusion of the polls. As a Commission, we call for patience among Kenyans as we undertake this rigorous exercise, and we also endeavor to complete this exercise as soon as possible. So thank you very much. God bless all of us, and God bless Kenya. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a better hand of applause, please. Then we have Muungano Choir.
Well, that was the chair of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, walking us through especially operational aspects of the county tallying, the collation, putting together the numbers for all those races, the gubernatorial, the senatorial, the women rep, and also the presidential race, and also touching on the fact that the law is very clear that they, as to declare the winners. And I was in the process of introducing my guests. Gibson Gisore, I'm sure you listened to what the chair said, that in fact the law expects him that inside 7 days that he should have, declared who the winner is. But we have had even cynicals, saying, oh, you know what, it may go over. So thank you first for coming, and perhaps you can, as your introductory remarks, you can just touch on that a bit.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think what I've heard him say is that the law allows him up to 7 days, but I don't expect him to go up to 7 days.
What's your feeling?
My feeling is he should do this earlier. He should do this earlier, given that there is no much reason, really.
Yeah. Why do you feel it needs to be right now and not now?
Of course, he needs to do his due diligence, of course, examine the materials sent to him and be able to verify that is his work. So he needs to ensure that whatever is declared is really the true results which he got from the local stations. And sometimes, of course, we have over 1,000 stations which do not have internet, and some of those challenges, those are some of the hiccups we expect him to be facing. Yeah. And then, of course, there's also the aspect of some stations were not able to vote. I don't know what the contribution of those stations will be, like Mombasa and Kakamega, the gubernatorial one. But I think for the national presidential one, there's no problem. We need to have the results well in advance, as they come in.
And we will be talking about the implications of those hiccups that were encountered, although new dates have been given.
Yes.
But let me come to you, Kandel, as an observer. Wakili spoke about the interplay between speed, announcing the results very fast, but then there's also the element of accuracy. So how important is it to strike a balance between, yes, you want to make the announcement fairly soon because it minimizes the anxiety in the country, but also you want to be very accurate from an observer's perspective. How do you see that interplay?
From my side, of course, we used paper ballot system this time, and of course it's a culture of most of the country. They take paper ballot system as well, and if we are using the paper ballot system and we are taking more time casting the vote, I think it's an it's a culture as well, you know, counting the paper, counting the votes, folding, unfolding the votes. Hey, these are the presidential votes, and you counted the numbers. It's a part of the culture of cultural election, I believe. So, yeah, of course, we have to take time, but sometimes it creates a problem where the result, we need to know how long it was for the last election. I was not here, but we need to see that record as well. And I want Kenya or IEBC to come up with such decision which will make more attractive information to the world as well.
Okay, and it's true that maybe you didn't get the opportunity, you know, to observe the last election, but Millie Luanga, you are here, and I'm sure you followed the proceedings in 2017. If you pay attention to what a lot of the candidates are saying, there's an area where, you know, they are mentioning in very soft tones on voter turnout, voter turnout, voter turnout. Yes, broadly they are happy that, you know, so far there's a lot of peace, but you hear them, you know, murmuring voter turnout, voter turnout. What are your thoughts on voter turnout, given that we were told, I think, was it 5 p.m. or something, that we were doing 56%? Yeah.
Yes, it's true, because remember that the voter turnout in 2017 for the first presidential election was quite impressive. I don't remember the exact figure, but I do remember it was pretty high. But for the repeat election, after the court nullified the presidential election, there's been a lot of discourse around the correct figures as to the turnout for that repeat election. And subsequent to that, the talk of voter apathy, and many people being interviewed by media and stating very clearly that they do not see the benefit of turning out to vote, has led to this conversation within the country for the last 5 years that people are no longer interested in voting. And unfortunately, that point was re-emphasized during the drive by IEBC to register new voters, because the anticipated numbers that IEBC expected to have register as voters was dismal in reality. You would see media covering IEBC officers in the market. They went as close as possible as they could to the people, and people did not go to vote, to register, sorry, as voters. So that dismal turnout continued to build up with the agenda or the talk about low voter turnout and the apathy. And remember that this was being seen vis-a-vis the impact on the likelihood of the leading presidential candidates, what the voter turnout would mean to their numbers and to the ability for them to emerge winners. So that discourse became very, very interesting. So looking at the voter turnout became very key. You'll remember that the last couple of weeks, the focus has been on get out and vote. Get out and vote. It has not been so much of selling the agenda, but on get out and vote. Because depending on the numbers that turned out to vote, the likelihood of the leading candidates securing the numbers that they anticipated was either going to be realized or diminished, depending on the turnout. So that's why we hear, as you are saying it in a very interesting way, the muted discourse by the presidential candidates on voter turnout. Yes.
Okay. Before I go to Doreen, I just want to get Gibson Kisore's thoughts, especially on that question of the voter turnout. What are you seeing?
It's very interesting that you see the people who are keen on people voting are the presidential candidates, but the Kenyans themselves, save for the fact that they were in the rallies, you're not seeing them. Was at the polling station. I never saw huge crowds. That is besides the fact that every polling station has 700. Of course, we have to take that into consideration. But then there is that aspect also in a very soft tone. People are like, where should I vote? Where should I vote? Because I don't see any of these people delivering anything new, which I haven't seen so far. So there's that aspect at the back of the Kenyan minds. The economy has been not doing so well. So people are like, what else do we expect from these fellas? They just want to go feed themselves. That is one of those. And then there's also the aspect of, it has been reported that in some stations, due to the confusion about whether to use the KIMS kit only or doing actually the manual register, there was some confusion. I think in some station people ended up not voting. I'm informed of a situation where somebody tried his fingers. He was told, go wash your hands first. I mean, he went and went. He couldn't come back. So if there were such situations, that could contribute greatly. And if you meet some people coming back from the station having not voted, you also resolve not to go vote because you are thinking the same might happen to you. So there's that aspect, and it's really affected some people in some areas.
Okay, so there's that trickle effect. Okay,
yes.
We'll come back to that, but let's see what my colleague has for us on the smart board.
It's voter turnout, number of votes, registered voters versus the valid votes and casted votes. Anyway, that's what we're talking about here. But ideally, also, that's what we want to clearly look at what we have on our magic wall. And as I mentioned, and I'll keep telling you this over time, that these are not the final results. They are just specifically provincial results. And also why we are doing this is because IEBC gave that green light that also media can be able to do this particular exercise when it comes to tallying of the votes. So I just want to look at very quickly is pick on two counties. Remember that these votes are continuing to trickle in, so time by time they will keep changing over time. That's what we will be having here, and we will just be looking at two specific counties, at least for now. We look at Kakamega as well as Nakuru. But what you have there right now, this is the total number of registered voters, particularly for this election. We were looking at 22.1 million registered voters, and obviously this is an increase from what we had in 2017, whereby it was just slightly above 19 million. But so far, and key to note, so far, the votes casted as of now stand at 26,365. And again, you just have the four presidential candidates there: Deputy President William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Professor George Wajakoya, as well as David Mwaure. Those are also what we're looking at, and this again is in respect to the presidential vote there. So quickly to those counties that I've just talked about, and perhaps you can begin from we can begin with Nakuru, so to speak. And also, it's very important to know that we clearly also have counties of focus. They are very key counties that are being looked at in this particular election also, simply because of the number of votes that, or this particular counties have. We look at counties such as Nairobi, Kiambu, Nakuru also falls within, that particular list in terms of voters, a total of 1.05 million.
Nobody contemplated that, because then IEBC says, no, the KIMS kit didn't fail.
Yeah.
But you see, for me as the voter, it actually failed.
Right.
Yes, because it didn't recognize me.
Right.
That, I think, is one that was not addressed.
Tom, I saw you shaking your head or nodding your head. Do you agree with Professor? What are your thoughts on these
Well, he's obviously
today?
much more up to date with the aspects of administration, but I'm wondering whether journalists or party agents, and maybe I can ask Bonacons, is anybody keeping track?
That there is one polling station, and that's Prison B, that has been able to table or stream in its results in this particular tallying center. But we'll speak to the returning officer of Alego Usonga constituency. Kindly, if you could just confirm to us, the current state of what's really happening here, because we are yet to see any results streaming in from various polling stations. What is the situation here at Alego Usonga main tallying center?
Yeah, what is happening in Alego Usonga main tallying center? We are waiting for results. Though some of them have transmitted and they have come digitally, we are now waiting for the hard copy that are yet to arrive. We are expecting the presiding officers to bring us the hard copy of the result, but they have transmitted. Some of them have transmitted the results.
Earlier on, you mentioned that we had only one polling station, and that's Prison B that had, are there any changes as of now, as we speak?
No, there's no change. We have only received the results of Prison B. Prison B is concerning the inmates. There were 7, but only 2 have voted. Yeah.
And what's your take on the current voter turnout here in Siaya? There are some polling stations that have recorded really low voter turnout. So as the returning officer of this particular constituency, remember that Alego Usonga is leading in the number of voter registration, especially in Siaya County. So what's your take on this? Have you received any sort of voter apathy or something?
Yeah, actually, I cannot comment because what I've read is that the voter apathy is national. It's not only Lego Songa, but about 65%, that is good to go. Yeah. Turnout of 65% is good. Yeah. Because I've seen the turnout, national turning out is about 60%. So we are within the range. Yeah.
Okay, Abubakar, that was the returning officer of Alego Usonga constituency. Remember, as I stated earlier on, this constituency is the one leading in the number of registered voters in Siaya County at 122,002 voters, followed by Bondo constituency, which has a voter turnout of 104,035 voters, followed by Gem, which has 93,568 registered voters. Then we have Rarieda, which has 84,849 registered voters, followed by Ugenya and Ugunja, recording 69,027 and 60,114 registered voters, respectively. Remember that Siaya County has a total of voter registration of over 533,000 voters. Now, a while back, we were able to visit the Ahindi polling center, which is just a few meters from here. And ODM boss Raila Odinga, who is also the Azimio la Umoja flag bearer, was able to garner 314 votes in that particular 341 votes, I beg your pardon, in that particular polling center, followed by William Ruto, who was able to garner 7 votes. And then we had George Wajakoya garnering 3 votes. And then lastly, we had David Wahiga Mwaure, who could not garner any vote in that particular polling station. So as I stated earlier on, we are still waiting for the results to start streaming in this particular tallying center. Remember, this is the main tallying center for the Alego Usonga constituency, the constituency that has the largest number of voters right here in Siaya County. As the returning officer just stated, this county is recording a low voter turnout, and they don't know why that could be the case, at only 65%, which is...
So let's just go to that other constituency, still in Kakamega County. Quickly look at that before we get back to Tom to just see what we have in that particular constituency. That is Shinyalu constituency. Again, Raila Odinga still enjoying the lead as of now. Again, it's very important for me to mention that as of now. That is 226 votes there, followed by William Ruto with 65, George Wajakoya 1 vote, and David Mwaure 0. Remember, as I said, this is that area where we have seen Raila Odinga enjoy massive support, and also it's one of those counties where we are seeing, those second-term governors, that is Wycliffe Oparanya. Again, also it's one of those contested areas, so to speak, clearly also in terms of just trying to see, the number of votes that candidates would get there. But Tom, before we get back to you, I'd just like to bring Gibson on this one very, very quickly.
Given that it is prodigal son politically will be making his 5th stop. Results is what now he awaits. The 5th stop have invited 4 times initially. Odinga views that county as his stronghold, and quite indicative of the results that Elizabeth Tieno told us of. It seems as though his political backyard and home county is solely with him. From Siaya County, let's get to Machakos County, where our reporter Lucky is on standby. How are the mathematics
presidential elections, where Raila Odinga gained 182 votes, followed by UDA candidate William Ruto, who had 108 votes. George Wajakoya and Wahiga Mwahure, they had 1 vote each. When we cross over to Vondeni Primary School in Masinga, we saw that Raila gained 219 votes, followed by William Ruto with 23 votes. Wahiga Mwahure didn't get any vote, and George Wajakoya got 1 vote. When we cross over to Kadhiani Primary School, Raila Odinga leading with 224 votes, followed by William Ruto with 66 votes. Again, Wahiga Mwahure didn't get any vote, and George Wajakoya had 2 votes. We move over to Mutondoni Primary School, also in Kadhiani, where Raila gained 310 votes. William Samoei Ruto got 80 votes, while Wahiga Mwahure had 2 votes, and George Wajakoya had 3 votes. When we cross over to Mutondoni Primary School, Raila had 307. William Ruto 81, and George Wajakoya, of course, had 3 votes. When we also cross over to Kisekini Primary School, also in Kadhiani, Raila Odinga had 159 votes, William Samoei Ruto had 41 votes, and George Wajakoya had 1 vote, while Wahiga Mwahure didn't get any vote over that place. We will be briefing you and updating you more as the results come in, and we shall be bringing them to you live. Back to you, Tom, in studio.
Many thanks indeed to Daniel Mwendwa. They are coming to us from Mombasa, burning the midnight oil because the vote counting is ongoing. Of course, the nation very. And tonight our focus is primarily on how those numbers are trickling in. So let me take it back to Doreen Arangi. There was a point that you were making before Dan came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we get there, let's just go back to Kakamega a bit and look at that last constituency before we get to do that comparison on how 2017 looked like in respect to what we have right now. And this is that area, that is Shinyalu constituency. So far, when it comes to Kakamega, we just have what is, in terms of votes, we have the Matungu constituency as well as the Shinyalu constituency. So let's just quickly look at what we have there so far. And that's what we have in terms of votes. Raila Odinga at 226, William Ruto 65, George Wajakoya 1, and David Mwahure still no votes in that particular constituency. As we have said, is that when you look at the voting patterns in 2013 as well as 2017, this is an area where we have seen Raila Odinga clearly enjoying support over time, and that's also clearly what we have. But so, Tom, before I get to do that comparison, I'd just like to pick from Gibson, to pick his mind on ideally these areas where elections have been postponed, and this is one of those areas, Kakamega County. And since we're on that beat of voter pattern, voter turnout, in respect to the day that IEBC will say after that gazettement, how does this likely to look like in terms of voter turnout? Are we likely to see a drop, the same, an increase? What is your analysis and assessment on this one, Gibson?
My prediction is that of course it could change given that we are not there yet. The numbers will go low because, as expected in every by-election in Kenya, or in this situation which is similar to almost a by-election, because it's an election after an election, people will have moved on, since they will be like, given that an election will have to be done on a weekday, which people will be working, and people will be having various commitments, so the turnout will of course be low.
Okay, well said. Now, let's look at the comparison just a bit. 2017 and 2022, because that is our benchmark in terms of also how the votes, are coming in. And again, remember, for one to be declared a president, then they clearly need to have the 50% plus one. That is the threshold. and also 25% in the 24 constituencies, just as it were when IEBC was clearing these aspirants to become candidates, and they were asking them to bring 2,000 signatures in at least 24 counties. The same is replicated when it comes to one being declared as a president, but now this is in terms of 25% in at least the 24 constituencies. So when you look at how the voting patterns look like in 2017, very quickly, look at how things look like. We had Uhuru Kenyatta obviously on the lead with 54.17%. Raila Odinga came in closely with 44.9%. That was a total of 6,820,598. So that county which we have just moved from focusing on, that is Kakamega County. Let's quickly look at how things panned out in 2017. Let's quickly go to that county, try and see how things look like in respect to what we have so far. This is how it looked like. Look at that, just showing you in the various constituencies that, you know, exist in this particular county. Raila Odinga clearly enjoyed a majority of the support there. That was in Kakamega County. As at that time, we had a total of 743,736 registered voters against, you know, the valid votes as of then, which was at 555,581. I mean, Tom, when you look at this is clearly an in respect to what we have now, because in 2022 we have slightly above 844,000 registered voters.
Yeah, 844. And in fact, if you look at even overall, at the national level, we have 22.1 million registered voters, as compared to the 19 million in 2017. And I just want to bring in Millie. Comparative analysis. We are seeing that the number of registered voters went up. What we are hearing from the candidates is that, you know, there's a low voter turnout. So it's a bit of a paradox, right? That we're saying there's a low voter turnout, and yet we have a higher number of registered voters. And my question to you is, how does that, given that trajectory where we are heading, how do you think it will affect the final results?
I think that is why we constantly talk about the apathy that Kenyans have towards voting, because when more of us are registering to become voters, but the percentage of those of us who turn out to vote is decreasing every time, then it is clear that less and less of us are interested in voting. So it's really is an issue of concern, because remember that in a democracy, you would like as much as possible for the leaders that you put into office to represent the will of the majority. In fact, when we wrote our current constitution in 2010, one of the things that we consciously dealt with as a nation was the issue of who should become president, and must they, because for many years we had a president leading when he actually had been getting the minority of the votes, so that you looked at the number of votes that were obtained by the opposition candidates, and there were more than the votes that were obtained by the then President Moi. So when we were then drafting the current constitution, one of the things we said is that's why we talk of the 50+1 and 25% in at least 24 counties, so that really as you come in as president, it is clear that a good percentage of the country would like to have you as president. So it becomes clear that we are having leaders that less of us have put in office. And it's important for us to have that interest in who we put in office, because then we can hold them to account.
Do you get a sense that sometimes, you know, or let me put it this way, there are issues on one end of the spectrum, and then there are personalities on the other end of the spectrum?
True. Very true, because at the end of the day, we have very strong personalities in the people who come and present themselves for the seats that we have set. Take an example of course we are speaking about figures today, but take an example of Wajakoya. He has been a very big personality in this election. He came in and his presence has been felt very strongly. But whether the issues that he has brought to the table, whether the kind of conversation he has tried to steer the country into, whether it translates into voter turnout in the first place, whether it translates into a larger percentage of votes going into his docket or not, is something that we'll have to see.
Okay, you spoke of Wajakoya, and my colleague Doreen just broke down those numbers. I think if you look at overall so far what we have, and these are provisional as Doreen indicated.
Yes.
Wajakoya I think is at 0.5%.
Yes.
And David Mwaure is at 0.24%. Raila Odinga is at 38%, and Ruto is at 60%. I understand that we have our reporter Trevor there. I know he has been holding fort for us. He's in Kasarani. Trevor is at the Nairobi Tallying Center. Trevor, thank you for joining us. Tell us what you have for us.
A very good evening to you, Tom, in studio. Well, we are coming to you live from the Kasarani Constituency Tallying Center here. A few moments ago, we were at the County Tallying Center, which is happening still right across this building, this premise where we are right now. And we are witnessing currently, as you can see behind me, nothing much is going on. This is the Constituency Tallying Center. We're informed that currently the main business is going on at various polling stations where the votes are being counted currently. But as of now, this is the situation like. Nothing much is going on, but here I am privileged to be joined in by the constituency returning officer. His name is Amos Nyongesa. I'll kindly invite him to the set and ask him a few questions. Welcome very much, sir, Mr. Amos Nyongesa. It's good to have you. We're live on KBC. Kindly give us an update of what is going on here, and maybe what do we expect to be going on late in the evening.
Right now what's going on, we have tallying of those results in the polling stations. So we are waiting for the presiding officers to bring the results here anytime from now.
Maybe you can tell us how the day for you. We can see that the set is already ready, and you are waiting. Maybe in a few moments to come, you'll be very busy doing your tasks. Maybe you can tell us, what do we expect?
Yeah, at least the process was smooth. It was okay. And the technology worked, I can say, around 99.9%. We didn't have any major breakdown on our technology as such. But from the updates we received so far, by the close of polling today, around 57.9% people turned up for this particular election to vote for their preferred candidates.
And is that only here in Nairobi, or is it also across other parts of the country?
I can't talk about other country, but maybe this is a sample space of the other constituencies. Yeah.
All right. Maybe you can give us an overview of what do we expect to be happening later on here in the night, and maybe at what time do we expect to see the real action happening?
Like right now, the POs are already sending through the KEMs. They're sending the presidential results. They're scanning those forms, and then they send to the Constituent Tallying Center, county, and the national. So far from my checking, around 135 POs have already sent presidential results. So we are expecting the remaining to be sent in the next 30 minutes. So what we are doing is, when the forms are sent, I validate them here, then they are also validated at the county, and then validated at the national level. That's just for checks and balances. Yeah. And
maybe at what point do we expect to see now you done with the business and it goes back to the county tallying center, which is just right across this premise?
Yeah, the process of counting takes time. So maybe by the end of tomorrow, we shall be through with the counting. And then the DRO, the Deputy Returning Officer, will take results to the county. That's for women rep, senator, and the governor. While the returning officer takes the presidential results to Bomas, to the national returning officer. Yeah.
So far so good.
Yeah, so far so good.
All right, thank you very much, Amos Nyongesa. We'll definitely be keeping tabs with you, and you'll be telling us more and what is happening during the day. All right. Thank you. Now I want to invite one of the election observers here from the Action Aid. His name is John. I want to engage him, and he'll be telling us more about their observations during the day. These are some of the people who are very critical at this particular moment, who are engaged in the observation of the election. Welcome very much to the set side. You're live on KBC Channel 1. Kindly start by introducing yourself and tell us what you have been doing during the day and what you're engaged in.
Thank you so much. My name is John Miano. I'm from Action Aid International. What I've been doing basically is just to move from one polling station to another, observing the status quo. And I can say so far so good in Kasarani. The day has been great. And the turnout, although it was not as expected, was also quite high, especially in the morning hours. Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you say that the turnout was not as expected, what exactly do you mean? What did you expect? And maybe what did you observe in the morning that you didn't see later on in the afternoon?
There were long queues in the morning, but then around 1 p.m., the queues started dropping off, and we were just expecting maybe 2-3 people coming at a go. So I can say that I felt like people did not come out as expected, maybe at an 80-90% level. But I think what happened in the morning also reflected that those who really wanted to vote woke up early and came to vote.
All right. And have you witnessed any maybe form of malpractice going on during the day or during your observation? And maybe you can tell us, what are some of the parts that you've been surveying and observing? Is it only in Nairobi, or is it only in this particular constituency?
For Action Aid International, we are observing in several counties, including coastal and Nyanza areas, Garissa, Embu, Isiolo, Laikipia. But specifically myself, I've been in Nairobi, and specifically I've been in Kasarani. I've been to Clay City, Ward, several polling stations. I haven't experienced
mentioned and gave a compensation in as far as the time is concerned.
Right.
What do you make generally of the day's happenings?
Well, if not the surprise in Rongai, and of course a number of aspirants, especially MCAs, citing a few, have also not found themselves on the voter register, which I think kind of like if you add to yesterday's press conference by the chairman of Wafula Chebukati regarding the the mishaps in Mombasa and in Kakamega and a number of constituencies. Those actually would have caused a little bit of jittery in terms of the integrity of the process and also the professionalism and the credibility of the managers. Because
you point out to Kakamega and Mombasa,
right,
in which the Commission IEBC suspended the gubernatorial races in those counties. And we saw yesterday across the political divide, members reading mischief.
Yes.
They have been mum about it today, focusing on the presidential and the other positions.
Right.
But is that a fertile ground for perhaps someone to lodge a case and read a mischief?
Definitely, yes. This morning, I think there was a court order which has directed that elections be conducted on 28th of August on those areas which were affected. And definitely people already went to court. So those are the high grounds which may need to question of credibility and of course legitimacy of this electoral process, because such mishaps brings a lot of question. IEBC has close to 660,000 employees plus who are managing these elections this time, and all these individuals can allow frauds, plus observers who went to ballot printing company in Greece. I wonder what these guys were doing in the 14 days when they went to verify.
When IBC says it was a human error,
well,
you're reading it could be more than a human error.
Well, sometimes it's a high time we get to really get hold of these humans. Remember, in 2017 election, we had issues of irregularities and infiltrations, which were all human. And to date, no one has been brought to book. If anything, actually, these human beings have been promoted, and maybe they are the sources of the messes that we are facing now.
All right, hold on that thought. I understand we have Dr. Barak Muluka, who is equally joining us on the broadcast. Barak, thank you for your time. Polls opened largely at 6 a.m., closed at 5 p.m. in exception of a few areas. What did you read into the day's happenings, Barak?
I have not seen anything out of the ordinary. In fact, even the fact that there have been hiccups here and there, that is normal. If you are dealing with 46,000 plus polling centers, one must expect that some of the things will not work out well. We are human beings and there are going to be human errors. I think sometimes we strive for perfection. I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but I don't think that it can be perfect. What bothers me, however, were the acts of violence that were seen in parts of the country. We've seen video footage of somebody being forced to draw out a gun and to shoot indiscriminately in the crowds. I think that is something that ought to be followed through to see what exactly happened there. I think there was a similar happening elsewhere. But in terms of the mistakes that have been made, including here in Kakamega where I am, we did not vote for the governor candidates. They are normal human errors. I think that somebody should have been a little more thorough. They should have done the proofreading. But as a publishing editor who has sometimes had to destroy a whole print run of books, I would speak with some degree of caution and give them a bit of benefit of doubt.
Barak, you say human error, specifically in Kakamega, I suppose, and in Mombasa, where the gubernatorial race was suspended yesterday by IEBC. Political players yesterday said they were reading mischief into this.
Baka, we have published books and ended up with photographs in the wrong place, with captions in the wrong place. As recently as a few months ago, I wrote an article for a newspaper and they published it with my byline, with my photograph, but I used someone else's byline. Such things happen even here in your own station. Sometimes you have used the wrong caption. Instead of writing there Barak Luka, you write there David Matanga or something like that. Such things will happen. IEBC should try to be a little more thorough, but I think also we shouldn't can them so hard. It's going to cost us money. It's going to cause us delays. It's going to cause us anxiety. But we must accept that we are not angels. We are never going to do a job that is 100% perfect. It won't happen.
Dr. Barak, earlier on, in the last numerical press briefing by IEBC talked of the number of people who had cast their ballot. It said 12,065,803 did cast their ballot as of 5 p.m. out of the 22 million registered voters, accounting for 56%. There is quite a conversation on the voter turnout and voter apathy. Barak.
Yes, I think it could speak to a number of things. The first one for me, fundamentally, what is new? What is new is the technology that has been used. It is possible that in the past we have been seeing falsified figures. That we have seen voter turnout of up to 90%, sometimes 99%, and there was a year when we had more than 100% in some parts of the country. So I think that this technology that has been used to identify voters may also have kept fraud at bay. But beyond that, I think also the candidates, particularly the presidential candidates, they tended to be carried away by the crowds without realizing that those crowds must be converted into votes. If you ask me about where I am in Kakamega County, I cannot tell you that I saw anybody whom I could call by name and identify by face as a presidential campaigner for any one of the four candidates. In the old days, we used to see people whom we could call the presidential team for Moi, presidential team for Mwai Kibaki, presidential team for Ken Matiba, and you would know where they were operating from. They even had offices that were non-designated, and you could go there and speak to them. There was nothing like that. These people come, they address crowds, rallies, they go away basking in the glory of that euphoria.
Sita ambao yapo katika kaunti hii ya Mombasa. Je, ni nani atakuwa ametoa ushindi pamoja na useneta na wakilishi wa kike, na pia kwa wale wakilishi wadi ambao wapo katika wadi 30 zilizoko katika kaunti hii ya Mombasa. Kaunti ya Mombasa ikiwa na zaidi ya wapiga kura
and I don't see once again. Let the beat drop.
he allegedly shot and killed a man at Chepkwabe in Kimilili. Here now is Bungoma County Commissioner Samuel Kimiti with our reporter John.
Thank you very much, Yvonne, and good evening back here in Bungoma County. Today was quite very busy here, like in any other part of this country. Bungoma residents went to the ballot today. They casted their votes, despite the fact that they faced several challenges when they were voting. But this evening, it has come out to be the most sad one, as several people are now mourning after they lost their loved ones, not because they were sick, but because one is allegedly that he was beaten and he died when he was being taken to hospital in a Sirisia constituency, and one person was shot dead in Kimilili by allegedly by the area MP Didmas Barasa. But let me not say much or talk a lot. I'm privileged to have Bungoma County Commissioner. Thank you very much, County Commissioner, and thank you for giving us this privilege to talk to Citizen TV and residents here and Kenya at large. Maybe if you can start by your name, just for the benefit of our viewer, wherever they are. What happened today in this particular county was very sad. If you can just confirm the instances.
My name is Samuel Kimiti. I'm the County Commissioner of Bungoma. This evening, we were very unfortunate because we received some information that there was an aggravated incident in Kimilili constituency where the former MP for Kimilili, Honorable Didmas was alleged to have shot a person after they disagreed in one of the polling centers. It is alleged that Didmas pulled his gun and shot this fella, and as he was being rushed to the hospital, he unfortunately died. And when we went there, we found that that was the allegation. We have ordered the police to hunt for the MP, because after he did that, he just disappeared. And the police are now pursuing him, but we are telling him to come and surrender himself before we get the hold of him. It was very unfortunate, and I want to pass my condolences to the family of the late Bryant. This young man died not because of his own fault, but because of a mistake of a leader who is alleged to have caused that death. Yeah.
Maybe this person who has died, this young man you're saying, Brian, was he one of the aid to the opponent, or maybe was
because
he the
that's
bodyguard
the person we
to
have
the
to
opponent
capture
to this
intentions.
Mheshimiwa Didmas?
And at the point that you're going to use technology to deny them voting, it's going to be very sad. I think that's what the courts were trying to say, that at no point should a Kenyan go to the polling station if he has done his civic duty of registering and he appears in a register.
And he actually, what was happening at
then you
is
tell
that
him,
he was going
now
to
you don't appear in the
check on what was
kids, you
happening in
can't
the polling
vote.
center.
That will be very sad,
and
and
when
that
he
I
was
think
there,
if
he met
somebody's
Didmas.
kid can go actually
And
to the courts and
Didmas followed him as he was leaving.
the courts declare that his rights have
Maybe
been denied.
if maybe you can only
Because
also
that is
confirm
very
that one
fundamental.
person died
It's upon
and two were
IBC to
injured
ensure
in a
that
place called
provided somebody has done
in
his
Sirisia
because
constituency
technology is
today.
not my business.
No, that one
my business is to vote.
I don't think
and
I have that
if
information.
you come up with some way of voting,
Your message
then
to
you better ensure it
people
works.
of
If it doesn't
Bungoma
work, I shouldn't be
as now we start
disadvantaged.
counting
That
votes,
is very key.
as
And
they
I think
continue,
that
maybe
the courts were
the
very
family
clear in
mourn
that
their
event,
loved one.
given that
I want to appeal to the people of Bungoma to hold
the manual register is actually a printout from the Kim's kit, then there shouldn't be any worry
we are
as
going to make sure
this
that
person voting is voting from the window or voting from outside.
I want
It's actually
to plead with them
using
to keep peace
an option because technology fails all the time.
to
It's
lose
not only in
life.
Kenya,
But because it has
failed
happened,
even in the
the only
US,
thing we can do
and
is
people
to
have resorted
cooperate.
to
And I would
counting
want
the
to
votes
appeal
to the
to anybody
Yes,
who
so
may be
that
having
is very much
information.
expected.
If you look at the numbers,
Yes.
I think it was
Political parties.
was it
IBC adamantly refused to work together with the political parties on key timelines that actually are very essential for a successful election.
I mean, Dr. Just as we are talking of registered voters, right? People who have registered as voters, and I suppose while they were doing that, they had an intention to
resolving them on the go.
Yes,
which begs the
He's
question:
coming out and
why
he's
would
telling
they
the
not
country,
vote?
you know what?
No, very important
has
days
happened.
such as today.
Some of us
We
have
have
given
had stakeholder
even
engagement,
proposals on
the
the election in
saga
Kenya.
has been
You know,
rested and settled.
election
And you
even
see
should
all
not
the
be
stakeholders
a
coming
one-day
up.
affair.
So
Because as they stand
do
today,
you get a sense that that is
this
also
is one
useful
of those
in building the confidence levels within the public?
That is very useful, Tom. I wouldn't expect anything less of Chebukati, because if you don't assuage people's fears in an election, in an election-charged country like Kenya, you're about to have problems. And in a sense, this is the wiser Chebukati, if I can say, because he has learned through the process. He has learned through the previous mistakes of various electoral commissions that Kenyans need updates a term at a time. Once a rumor has come up, come and clear it, so that people don't go again saying, there was that thing which was said, maybe this is what is happening. You would have cleared it beforehand. And that is what he's trying to do, and telling Kenyans we're in control. And I think I respect the kind of Chebukati we have, because he has been leading from the front. As opposed to the last election, you could realize there was some confusion between him and Chiloba, who was in charge.
Oh, yeah.
And that ended up causing a lot of chaos and confusion. But this time, he's been well prepared in advance, detecting problems in advance, and actually giving a solution to them. Not waiting for the people to come and revolt and ask, why is this happening? And I think I like the way he's prepared, and the organization with the IBC is very okay. Sometime back here I said that this time IBC has invested in a communication team which is able to tell Kenyans that, you see, we're likely to have this problem, and this is what. He has even called the candidates and their agents and told them, this is what we're planning, and this is what we expect from you. And that is very impressive of him.
That's very impressive. Do you think the Election Act of 2011 has dealt decisively with these issues of transparency, accountability?
Yes, to a greater extent it has, and also the aspect that they came up with the election regulations. That also, I think, Millie can agree that they have really played a key role. First, they also went and did proper training. I think this election, the backdrop of it, they've been doing a lot of training, talking to people who are the election stakeholders. So, and the other players have also come up, even with a book on an election. So with all these resources, you don't expect that things will be so bad, because Kenyans are becoming enlightened. I think you have heard from Deprak saying that he didn't see people miss voting, because even the election material you are going to vote, it's the same color as the box which you are going to put it in. So you can only, unless you are blind, is when you can actually have a red one being put in a blue one.
Or unless you're a man, colorblind.
Yes.
By the way, Millie, do you agree? Do you agree with that last point here?
Yes,
in terms of the Election Act for 2011.
I think that to a large extent it's been a try, but the truth of the matter is this, that there's been a total confusion in the law. And I say this because remember, even the amendments that Chebukati tried to put in place, they came in late because Bunge was unable to, he tried to expose and
And the process of now to engage even in Parliament, we've given IEBC proposal, but when we have a chairman or a commission that chooses not to be accountable, that choosing, actually some people call it opaque, and you appear all of a suddenly, and these are the things they're treating us to, and they treat the election as an event, not as a process. Then crisis happens. When crisis has happened, it is thrown back to us. Now we are the ones who should be owning it. We should not be litigious.
There's only one thing you remember from me. Child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are. Don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars. You'll be dancing, dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life you'll be dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Maybe my compass was wrong, and I'm still on my way closer to where I belong. I'm still rolling the dice, praying sometimes it don't last it long. I'm losing my faith, I'm walking away from what you knew all along. Mama told me before you leave, if there's only one thing you remember from me. Child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are. Don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars. You'll be dancing, dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life you'll be dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are. Don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars. You'll be dancing, dancing on the moon.
Gotta let you say it 'cause I back it up. So appreciate I could back it up. Heading on the way, don't you know I'm up? So up, so up. If you wanna wake up, there's places I could take you.
Face to face I found my pain beneath the lies and broken dreams. Lost the love I had in me. It tore me apart, fade away. I felt so lost, but I held on to what I had. For what it's worth, if you feel low, just know that you can. Yes, you can. There's life in love that you hold. Rise above and let it glow. Just know that it's never too late to make a change. Crash and burn, I found myself beneath the emptiness. Wanting more, I let it go. Holding on to love. Breaking through, I feel alive. For once in my life, I'ma live by the want to be all I can. Let the rest just crash and burn. Crash and burn. Oh, 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 let it crash and burn. This one for the person who feels alone. This one for the hero who has no home. This one for the one who lives for hope. Changing better days. Pick your head up, keep on fighting, living, loving. Make your mind up. If you want it, take it, fly away, soaring high above the clouds. Hear the voices calling out. Oh, you want love. Crash and burn, I found myself beneath the emptiness. Make your mind up. Wanting more, I let it go. Holding on to love. Breaking through, I feel alive. For once in my life, I'ma live by the want to be all I can. Let the rest just crash and burn. Let the rest just crash and burn.
Wanna be all saints. Trying hard to be someone else. All we want is please. Giving us, giving no time to breathe. This is our identity. We can't help, we're gone. This is our identity.
to say the least. So far from a superstar, and my daydreams are killing me. Feel like I'm never feeling okay. Good days are so hard to find. Just help me numb all the pain. One step from dying. My angels keep it at bay. Can't blame the people for trying. Just let me fall to my grave. Just let me fall to my grave. Look you. Stop. Look you. Just let me fall to my grave. Look you. Stop. Look you. Just let me fall to my grave. Heart fails under pressure. Wonder if these bad days will last forever. So pessimistic from the past. All the good things end up in caskets. I'm never feeling okay. Good days are so hard to find. Just help me numb all the pain. One step from dying. My angels keep it at bay. Can't blame the people for trying. Just let me fall to my grave. Just let me fall to my grave. Look you. Stop. Look you. Just let me fall to my grave. Look you. Stop. Look you. Just let me fall to my grave.
Quiet's driving me insane. Silence rattles in my brain. Yeah, I gotta get away. Always waiting for the phone, so I built my towers tall, wandering through these empty halls. Break the cycle now. Walls are coming down. I gotta make it out. Yeah, 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 yeah. Look my fear right in the eye. I just wanna feel alive. I just wanna feel alive. I just wanna feel alive. I gotta save me from from myself. This emptiness, it hurts like hell. My good intentions let me down.
We have a dedicated team of reporters spread right across the country. There is Zanab burning the midnight oil from Lunga Lunga. We have our finger on the pulse of the counting process. Zainab, tell us what you have.
Perfect and Matte Effect 3-in-1 vanishing cream with vitamin C and lemon extract for 12-hour oil control.
Vipi ongea, Zainab?
And oil-free, new from Libya. And I feel confident.
Naam, Tom, kama ulivyotaja ni kweli na ripotia kutoka eneo la Lunga Lunga ambapo hapa sasa ndicho kitovu kikuu ambapo zile kura zote kutoka vituo 148 vya kupigia kura katika eneo bunge hili. When the sun's so bright, when the sun's so bright, in the middle of the summer, when the sun's so bright, yeah, in the middle of the summer, when the sun's so bright.
Pole sana Zainab pale akiwa.
I don't want no other girl in my life. Want you to be my wife. You can be my one and only. I'ma be there when you phone me. All the other girls, they phonies. Acting like they know me. Show you that you be the trophy. I'ma be a real homie. No, never leave you lonely. Oh no, never leave you lonely. Middle of the summer when the sun's so bright. In the middle of the summer. Wanna get with you, girl, cause it seems so right. And I need you in my life. In the middle of the summer. 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 When the sun's so bright. When the sun's so bright. In the middle of the summer. When the sun's so bright. Yeah. I gotta admit I'm really into you. I'm just being honest. Baby, come around. Show me what you got. Is it real or not? It's about time that we really turn it up. I ain't doing no more talking. I gotta admit I'm really into you. I cannot really stop it. Yeah, when the sun's so bright, I don't need much, I'm not into the hype. Baby girl, I really wanna see you tonight. Show you all the moves, I'ma do you right. Could be the man to make you feel nice. Ooh, girl, I need you when the sun's so bright. Yeah, when the sun's so bright. Ooh, middle of the summer when the sun's so bright. In the middle of the summer. Wanna get with you, girl, cause it seems so right. And I need you in my life. In the middle of the summer. 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 When the sun's so bright. When the sun's so bright. In the middle of the summer. When the sun's so bright.
it's silent in dismay, it won't break this feeling down. If I conquer this my way, I'd devour, I'd surround. If it hurts you just a little, then it heals you when it's done. Disappointment is the anchor,
893.
If it's silent in dismay, it won't break this feeling down. If I conquer this my way, I'd devour, I'd surround. If it hurts you just a little, then it heals you when it's done. Disappointment is the anchor, resolution is the sun.
In the wake of dawn, I see you shine. When I feel that heartbeat, I